Discuss this a little further and get some reaction from the opposition. We're joined now by Conservative MP Pierre. Good morning. Welcome back.
Good morning to you.
Indefensible was one word I've heard a lot of people saying. Obviously, you agree with that.
Indeed. This is, in fact, a guilty verdict. Let me read right from this report,
Sure.
which is, by the way, called Trudeau II, because, of course, this is the second time the Prime Minister has been found guilty of violating the Ethics Act. And it says right here, the authority of the Prime Minister and his office was used to circumvent, undermine, and ultimately attempt to discredit the decision of the Director of Public Prosecutions, as well as the authority of Miss Jody Wilson-Raybould as the Crown's chief law officer. All of this to attempt to give a special deal to a Liberal-linked corporation, helping that company avoid prosecution for charges of fraud and bribery. This has never happened in Canadian history.
He says he accepts full responsibility. We never heard apology, however, but he said with the other report, the Alan McClellan report, which conveniently landed on his desk as well this week, that there are 4 measures that they'll put into place to make sure this doesn't happen again.
Well, the only measure necessary to make sure this doesn't happen again is to get a new Prime Minister. This was his personal conduct. It was not a problem in the system. He chose to carry out a 4-month campaign of harassment and illegal pressuring against his Attorney General in order to try and get a special deal for this Liberal-linked corporation. There was no problem in the system. There was a problem with his character and his judgment. And frankly, I believe that if he's re-elected, that by Christmas time, SNC-Lavalin will have its deal.
RCMP investigation is what your leader's calling for. It's not enough what you're seeing there.
Well, there's a lot more that for which we do not have answers. And
is that it? Is that why you want the RCMP investigation?
I think we do need an RCMP investigation to find if the Prime Minister's personal conduct rose to the level of criminality. And furthermore, there's a lot of information we don't know about because, according to the Ethics Commissioner, because the Prime Minister refused to waive cabinet confidences, he was not, quote, able to fully discharge the investigatory duties conferred upon him by the Act. So there's more information to this scandal that Canadians and the Commissioner do not yet have.
Can we assume that if you were in power and this happened, that they would have been prosecuted at SNC-Lavalin?
Yes, well, the so-called deferred public prosecution, deferred prosecution agreement didn't exist under the previous Conservative government.
Even if it costs 9,000 jobs potentially, even if it cost votes to the Conservative Party in vote-heavy Quebec and all your seats there?
Well, first of all, we should never make decisions about prosecutions based on votes and partisan advantage. But second of all, I think the whole jobs argument is a lie. There is no evidence whatsoever that this prosecution would have cost jobs. The company wouldn't dissolve if it were convicted.
You'd be willing to take that risk if you were in power?
I don't think it is a risk. Most of the jobs that SNC-Lavalin has in Canada are related to construction in Canada. For example, here in Ottawa, they're going to build the North-South Light Rail project. That can't be built in China and dropped from a helicopter onto the city of Ottawa. The construction jobs they do in the oil sands, for example, have to be done in Alberta. So there's no risk that all of those jobs would somehow vanish to another country when the work is actually happening here. So I don't believe that this was about jobs. This is about protecting corporate insiders who have influence in the Liberal Party.
A lot of this is politics. A lot of this is inside, Parliament Hill. I'm wondering, is this going to be a ballot box question? Do Canadians care?
I think they do, because it's about whether we have one set of laws for the people and another for the powerful, whether the Prime Minister can flagrantly lie repeatedly about key facts in order to absolve himself of his self-made scandal, and whether or not we are going to accept a Prime Minister trying to demolish the reputation of a highly principled former Attorney General in order to cover up his scandal.
What about jobs? What about climate change? What about health care? Wouldn't those be the top 3 above this, potentially, for the average Canadian who's worried about their pocketbook?
Those are obviously issues, but when you have a Prime Minister who lacks the integrity to allow the independence of our justice system to occur, you have to question his judgment in all other areas, including jobs and taxes and the deficit and all of the other ballot box issues that we're normally voting on.
We obviously haven't heard the end of this. That's something we're going to be sure that you guys are going to keep alive.
There's more information that the Ethics Commissioner said he was not able to exhume in this report, and Conservatives are going to use every tool in our toolkit to get to the full bottom of this illegal Liberal corruption scandal.